How has your opinion on Israel-Palestine changed over the past few months, if at all? No, but made me realize just truly how effective social media is as a propaganda tool, and just how little people actually know about the situation. Double standards aren't new. Didn't realize so many of my friends were geopolitical experts. Unchanged. It was a shit situation then, and it's a shit situation now. Nothing has changed. If anything, everything I thought about the conflict has been proven beyond any reasonable doubt. Before the conflict, I thought that the Israeli government were a bunch of hardline ultranationalists who care only about the expansion and supremacy of the Jewish state, that Hamas were a bunch of Islamist terrorists who care only about the destruction of Israel and the expulsion and destruction of all Jews in the region, and that neither side gave a single dusty fuck about any of the ordinary civilians on their own or the other side trying to live their lives. That view has been fairly decisively proven. Before the conflict, I thought that pretty much the entirety of the Western media, its politicians and its citizens collectively had a lot of strong opinions on a conflict about which they were largely ignorant, and often influenced by unconscious bigotry and propaganda on social media. Again, that view has been fairly decisively proven. I mean, always disliked Bibi. More now. Always disliked Hamas. More now. Both think the suffering of innocents makes them more secure in their power, or so it seems. I've held the stance I hold since the early 2000s when I first learned of what has been going on in that region since the late 40s. Shit, it's been like this since I can remember in the 90s. It reinforced my idea that I don't know enough about it to have a solid opinion, and I should stay out of the discussion. It's baffling how indecisive and apolitical Redditors actually are. It was a mess. It's still a mess. I used to think one of them could be preferable and I could pick a side. Now, I've heard leaders of both sides say that the only acceptable outcome is the extermination of the other side. There are no good leaders in this conflict. I still think we should stop killing innocent people. My opinion of progressives has basically fallen off a cliff. They believe racist tropes about both groups and are convinced they have a great understanding of the situation while parroting the same false talking points over and over. It's exactly like talking to Trumpers. Just per arrogance. Still pro-Palestine and hope for peace in the region, but damn if I don't have to admit many activists have gone absolutely nuts, harassing and bullying anyone who doesn't want to take a side in the conflict. I sympathized with Israel because I am of that era, horrified by the Holocaust and raised hearing about it. Now, I think Israel has become monstrous. I don't get my news from TikTok, so didn't. If anything, the Israel-Palestine conflict made me realize how many there are TikTok experts, a bunch of wannabe anti-imperialist Western-based leftists who know absolute shit about the region, conflict, the history, and all the nuances. I myself try to understand by diversifying sources. I'm checking Palestinian sources, Israeli sources, Western sources, etc. My stance hasn't changed at all. It's all about interests. Meanwhile, it's the innocents who suffer the most and pay price. Israel has a right to exist at this point. But so does Palestine. Israel has a right to retaliate and defend itself from attacks. But so does Palestine. Israel does not have a right to unilaterally bomb Palestine. The same for Palestine. Both states have done some shitty things. Both deserve the anger and consequences of that. But that doesn't condone genocide. When the leaders of one side are openly telling you what they want, we should be fucking listening. Israel is the aggressor. No doubt about it. Israel is murdering, wiping out Gaza so their so-called settlers can further occupy and take over that land. An occupational power has to follow rules. Israel is following none of these rules. Total sanctions would bend them. But it appears we save sanctions for Russia only. Putin is a dictator. But why sanction Russia and ignore Israel? But anti-Semitism. I got more opinionated on the issue for sure. Before, I vaguely knew about the situation but didn't think much of it. I just think I was naturally always on Palestinian side. For context, I'm not Muslim nor Arab. I used to work with the Israeli chef, and I remember once blurting out to him, "Why is this called Israeli food when it's found all over the region?" I don't think he got defensive or upset over it though. He did tell me once that Muslims hate us. Now looking back, I think that's a part of Zionist teachings in him. I felt eerie when he said that. And now I feel even more creeped out when I think about that. I ended up quitting on a bad term due to his gross habits in the kitchen. But now I'm glad I don't associate with all the Israelis from that place. Not there was any discrimination or anything like that going on. But anyway, back to the subject. I feel my eyes are more open now and I kind of feel shame about my vague ignorance from before. I wish I was paying more attention all along. Edit. I've been getting lots of downvotes on my pro-Palestine comments on Reddit, so I'm bracing myself with this one too.